Gordie Howe died Friday at the age of 88. Ed, when I mention the name Gordie Howe, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
I think the term is legend, and I mean that in the most complete sense of the term. Absolutely mythic in scope. And you really have to stop and think of what this man's career entailed, starting right after World War II, ending in 1981 at age 52. And you can go back over the back of his hockey cards because the stats are staggering. But really, it's the mythic component of Gordie's career that I think really resonates with people. And maybe you have to be a person of a certain age to understand what he meant to Canada, and specifically Western Canada. Because for me, he was the first big superstar of Western Canada. Proud Saskatchewanite, and I was raised on the legend of Gordie Howe. My mother's brother played with him in Detroit, so this is a topic that really touches a real sincere part of me.
You actually saw Gordie play in an old-timers game.
Yeah.
When he actually wasn't an old-timer.
That's right.
Only in age. Everybody else on the Red Wings team was a former Red Wing. He was still with the active team but joined them. Tell me that story.
Well, and this might put things in perspective. So this is 1966. Gordie is still a superstar in the NHL, but he plays in this old-timers game my uncle was involved in the Red Wings, and there was something like in the order of 12 or 13 Hall of Famers in this game. Gordie played, and they made a rule he couldn't shoot the puck. So here's just, but Rocket Richard was in this game. Ted Lindsay was in the. Ted Lindsay and Dickie Moore got thrown out for fighting in an old-timers charity event, which I think is just so spectacular. But okay, this is 1966. He played in the NHL for 4 more years, retired for 2 years, then came back and played for 8 more, including 7 in the WHA with his 2 sons. Again, it's just so staggering when you consider like the scope of his career. And he was a legend at that time in 1966, and he goes on and plays for 15 more years. Mind-boggling.
You address that. I mean, this was a guy who could do it all.
Yeah, I wrote a book about the WHA, and there's a whole chapter on Gordie and his sons, and Mark was wonderful. Mark gave me all the time in the world, and he told a lot of stories about his dad's toughness, and he said his dad scared him. Some of the things he did on the ice. So, and when you look at his WHA career, you look at his penalty minutes, 45, 48. I don't think he ever got as many as 60 in a season, but he didn't have to. And Mark told me this wonderful story. Do you remember Tim Kerr, the Philadelphia Flyers? Big, strong guy, great goal scorer, stood in the slot. And when Mark was playing in Philadelphia, Gordie gave him this advice. He said, he went up to Tim Kerr and he said, look, once a year, just go medieval on somebody. Just make sure it's a nationally televised game so everybody sees it, and you'll get all the room you need. And that's the way he thought about the game. The other great thing, Gordie had his own set of rules, and these were well known around the NHL. They were Gordie's rules. And when a rookie came into the league, the veterans would explain to them, look, he'll let you get away with some stuff, but don't do other stuff. And Mark told me this wonderful story about Dave Keon coming up with Toronto, who broke one of the rules. He was kind of poke-checking Gordie from behind, and the veteran leaves said, look, don't get too close. Gordie doesn't like it. That's his puck. And of course, he got too close, and half an hour later, he woke up in the infirmary at Maple Leaf Gardens. So.
All right. Well, lots more Ed Willis on Gordie Howe and tons of stuff from all of our post-media writers this weekend. Thanks, Ed.
Yeah.